January the 3rd, 2009, exactly 12 years ago, Bitcoin network comes into existence with Satoshi Nakamoto mining the Genesis block, block number 0. That block had a 50 Bitcoin reward, by the way, and that reward has been halving every 4 years since. The third halving happened last year, just a few months ago, more than 6 months ago, and as a result, Bitcoin's price keeps going up. This is the deflationary model of Bitcoin. Now, in every year on this day, I actually report about the anniversary of the birth of Bitcoin for me, because for me, the mining of the first block really cements the birth of Bitcoin. The white paper was published in November, end of November. That is the concept, the conception, if you want, of Bitcoin. However, this year I'm not going to dedicate the whole video to this anniversary. Instead, I'm going to focus on the boldest predictions, price predictions for Bitcoin for 2021 and beyond. So let's get started. And so we closed 2020 with an all-time high of Bitcoin in the 29,000s. We didn't touch the 30K as I expected. I knew that it's going to be a challenge, and I knew that there is a lot of selling pressure. As I said in my previous video, I don't think we will be passing 30K by the end of the year. So we didn't, but we were really close to the 30K, which was great news, and we did quite a strong bull run. Typically a bull run cycle goes for a couple of years. It looks like this time it will take a little longer, because now the cycles apparently are starting to be a little bit longer than 2 years. But also we are in a very different type of a bull cycle this time compared to the previous one, which was in 2017. One reason is that you can borrow now against BTC collateral. If you need cash, you can actually get cash without selling your Bitcoin anymore, and there's a lot of companies in the DeFi space that are offering that, like Celsius, BlockFi, and Nexo, and Cobalt Land, one of the sponsors of this video, and many more. So the DeFi sector is absolutely on fire, and it's really booming throughout 2020, and it will continue this year in 2021. Another reason, even more important in my view, is that Bitcoin now seems to have finally come out of the shadows of the dark web, and it's hitting the mainstream. If we look at the last bull run, for example, Asian investors and retail investors were reported to have been the driving force. They quickly moved in and out of trades, they booked profits and abandoned crypto markets, and as soon as the prices started plummeting down. This move sucked out much needed liquidity from crypto markets, and it crashed the asset prices. The retail investor is often prone to taking higher risks and looking for a way out at the first sight of a market crash. And many investors saw grave losses while selling at 70 or 80 or even 90% drop of their crypto assets. According to crypto forensics firm Chainalysis, American investors are driving the rally this time around, and institutional firms and hedge funds are interested in parking their funds in the long term, are also beginning to pour a lot of funds into this asset class. In the long term, such liquidity should help propel future prices increase, because it strengthens the market and it tamps down the intense volatility that has characterized crypto markets. This year's rally has attracted increased interest from both retail and institutional investors. Public companies like MicroStrategy and Square made Bitcoin part of their reserves. Square, for instance, which was founded by Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter, snatched 4,709 Bitcoin for $50 million, while MicroStrategy purchased $113 billion worth of Bitcoin. Mass Mutual, another fund, announced the purchase of $100 million worth of Bitcoin in December, just a few weeks ago. In fact, I reported on that. And Guggenheim Investments has put 10% of its $5 billion capital into the dominant currency, while Grayscale became the largest Bitcoin trust fund with a stack of 500,000 Bitcoin. That's 500,000 Bitcoin in their trust fund. In the meantime, the world-renowned digital payment service PayPal opened the doors for crypto. It launched its crypto feature that allows users to buy, hold, and sell cryptocurrencies within its digital wallet. Also, DBS Bank, which was known for calling Bitcoin a Ponzi scheme back in 2017, has now recently announced the launch of a cryptocurrency exchange featuring Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, and XRP. Also, JP Morgan, the American multinational investment bank, which also was very much against crypto in 2017. If you remember, Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan, was calling Bitcoin worthless, and he was saying that he would ban any of his employees who would be trading Bitcoin. They now made a few statements recently. I reported on them how Bitcoin is actually going to be replacing gold, and gold will be suffering because of people shifting from gold into Bitcoin. So their projection is also included here in my countdown. I'm gonna be doing a countdown here. So Bitcoin was climbing along with Ethereum. Both of them did a very good performance. As you saw, both of them are in more than 300% gains. In fact, Ethereum is surpassing Bitcoin a little bit with 440%. But nevertheless, if your money is in Bitcoin, and most people have Bitcoin and Ethereum, because Ethereum has now been around for so long, and it has been the second largest cryptocurrency by market cap for so long that it has established itself almost as a non-out. Many people are not considering Ethereum to be an altcoin anymore. Bitcoin is of course the king, but Ethereum is literally the next best thing. So this is why most of the investors are actually holding both coins. So let's focus on Bitcoin for this video, and I'm going to go through the biggest, boldest, craziest Bitcoin price predictions for 2021 and beyond. Let's get started. And the first one is from BTIG analyst Julian Emanuel. Julian Emanuel analyzed Bitcoin's price in part by comparing it to the Nasdaq 100, which is a market cap weighted index consisting of 103 non-financial companies. The index reached the peak valuation during the dot-com bubble, that was in the 90s and early noughties, and crashed soon after before beginning another gradual ascent. And then 6 years to rise a further 150%. Bitcoin, he says, appears poised to exceed the 2017 parabolic blow-off top in a mere 3 years. Should Bitcoin's speed of ascent keep pace with the past 3 years and the degree of the rally approximate that of the Nasdaq, 50,000 per Bitcoin is a reasonable year-end of 2021, he says. Next on my list is Mike Novogratz. In mid-November, the billionaire investor and Galaxy Digital founder Mike Novogratz predicted Bitcoin could reach 65,000 in 2021. He forecasted this price range when he gave the Game of Thrones star Maisie Williams some advice. If you remember, I reported on that, and then she posted on Twitter, and that was quite a big thing because, of course, she is followed by millions of people, and that was yet another exposure of Bitcoin to the mainstream. People were going to Bitcoin because there's 20 million Bitcoin that will ever be mined, he says. There's complete scarcity in it. People believe it's a store of value, it's a social construct, and you can't change that. Novogratz suggests that investors will consider Bitcoin not only as a speculative digital asset, but as a real store of value. Okay, well, next one on my list, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad author. As you know, he is not only a best-selling author, he's an entrepreneur and investor, and constantly recommending his followers to buy Bitcoin and gold. He believes that gold is going to reach 3,000 per ounce in the next year, and Bitcoin will hit $75,000 during the next 3 years. Okay, moving on to the next one on my list, and now we are hitting the big ones. Anthony Pompliano, if you don't know, you probably heard his name. Pomp is an absolute icon in the crypto space, whether it be through his social media accounts, or daily newsletter, or podcast. His experience as both founder and partner with Morgan Creek Capital is a primary reason he is so popular in the space. Now, he's actually said this on many occasions. Bitcoin will be 100,000 by the end of 2021 is his quote. He is also become very highly regarded as a crypto analyst that has been featured multiple times as a guest and panel member of the popular business news channel CNBC. 100,000 is also the price tag of Morgan Creek CEO Mark Yusko. During a May 6th interview in 2020, the CEO of capital management giant Morgan Creek predicted that Bitcoin could easily reach 100,000 in 2021 or 2022. During the discussion, Yusko also insisted that Bitcoin's price could reach 400,000 to 500,000 as well. Yusko stated at the time, if we come to gold equivalence, meaning the market cap of Bitcoin equals the market cap of gold, which I think is perfectly logical, you could easily see that 400,000 to 500,000 price tag at some point in time for Bitcoin is very achievable. That's quite a prediction, I would say, but Bitcoin reaching the market cap of gold, which is in the trillions, has been projected by quite a few people, so I am on par with that projection. Now, another analyst, the creator of the price model stock to flow, who goes by the Twitter name Plan B, he also thinks that Bitcoin is going to 100,000 by December 2021. According to the stock to flow model, the Bitcoin price rocketing in 2021 is calculated by its decreasing supply and growing demand. As BTC is halved every 4 years, the supply is decreasing rapidly, causing inflation. Thus, there is a theoretical potential for Bitcoin rising. A very similar price tag is projected by Tom Lee from FundStrat. He is also the brother of Charlie Lee, founder of Litecoin. In an interview with CNBC, Tom Lee predicted that Bitcoin could triple in value in 2021. He made that prediction when Bitcoin was at around 28,000, and he didn't really name an actual figure. He said, I think in round numbers, 2021 is going to be a lot like 2017, which means Bitcoin should do even better than what it did in 2020. So at the time, Bitcoin was at around 280% gains from the beginning of the year. So he estimated something above 300% without actually saying a fixed figure, but his projection places the price of Bitcoin at around $110,000 per coin. The next prediction comes from Moonrock Capital managing partner Simon Dedic. 150,000 is what he says. He's also BlockFi co-founder and Moonrock Capital managing partner. In June 2020, he posted this tweet with his price predictions. In 2017, he said, you could have bought literally any out and it was a good investment. In my opinion, this won't happen again. However, I still believe that the bull run will return, pumping the few solid outs out there. Predictions: Bitcoin $150,000, Ethereum $9,000, Link $200, Binance $500, VET $1, XTZ Tezos $200. The next prediction comes from Bloomberg strategist Mike McGlone. He's even more positive about Bitcoin's price in 2021. He wasn't that positive back in 2018 and 2019. I actually remember in 2018 when he was calling for Bitcoin to be dropping to $1,000 or $2,000 at least. Luckily, that didn't happen. Now he is very bullish on Bitcoin. He is saying that Bitcoin is going to cross the $170,000 mark by 2022. The key thing about Bitcoin this year is very simple, he says. It just added a 1 to the front of the number. He said that when Bitcoin was around 17,000. Now, next on my list is Tim Draper, very famous in crypto. You've probably already heard of him. He is an American investor whose most prominent investments include Tesla, SpaceX, Twitter, and Coinbase. The famous venture capitalist believes that the US government's massive stimulus package will debase the value of the dollar and send people to crypto. He also expects that Bitcoin will see massive commercial adoption around the world within this time frame. He says that Bitcoin should be around $250,000 by 2022 or 2023. Swiftly moving on to the next figure, which is even higher than that, Adam Back, CEO of Blockstream and early electronic cash pioneer, he believes that Bitcoin will surge to 300,000 in the next few years. It might not require even additional institutional adoptions, he says, because the current environment is causing more individuals to think about hedging and retaining value when there's a lot of money printing in the world. He said that in an interview with Bloomberg. Citibank analyst Tom Fitzpatrick is calling a similar figure as well. By the end of 2021, he says Bitcoin will trade at $318,000. He says that we will likely see unthinkable rallies followed by painful corrections. Furthermore, the Citibank executive said that Bitcoin was the new gold, with fewer restrictions. Gold has restrictions such as storage, it's non-portable, and could possibly be even called yesterday's news in terms of financial hedge. Bitcoin is the new gold, he says. The analyst also considers that in terms of the COVID-19 pandemic, people will use digital currencies as a store of value and a hedge against inflation. The next projection comes from Guggenheim Partners, another institutional investor. The CIO, Scott Minerd, said that Bitcoin was heading for $400,000 price tag, topping even the moonshot price target from Fitzpatrick. According to Minerd, the justification for these targets is the scarcity of Bitcoin and its relative value to gold, yet again comparing it to gold. He made the decision to start allocating to Bitcoin when the leading cryptocurrency was trading around $10,000. As I said in my previous video, many of the institutional investors were actually waiting for Bitcoin to cross that price target because it was coinciding with the Fibonacci level of 0.61. So that was really when institutional investors started paying attention to Bitcoin, when it actually went above that area which previously it was struggling to cross. So, and this was back in May, I believe. So that's it, 400,000, and it's the same figure from Max Keiser. He is a very famous journalist, financial analyst, and investor who's been bullish on Bitcoin since 2010. He's predicting 100,000 price tag for Bitcoin since he started investing in Bitcoin, which was in 2010, 2011, and he's now predicting a 400,000 price tag for Bitcoin in the long term. He said that I'm officially raising my target for Bitcoin, and I first made this prediction when Bitcoin was $1. I said this could go to 100K. I'm raising my official target for the first time in 8 years. I'm raising it to 400,000. These numbers may seem unrealistic to some of us, but let's face it, so were the numbers of 10,000 for Bitcoin back in 2015 or 16 when I first started investing in Bitcoin, and people were talking about Bitcoin to 5,000, to 10,000. It was unheard of. I didn't even think this could happen because at the time Bitcoin was around $400. Well, it happened within a year or a year and a half later, something like that, and then people started talking about Bitcoin 20, 30, 50,000. Now we're talking about Bitcoin 100, 200, 400,000. And yes, it seems unrealistic, but once you understand the nature of Bitcoin and its deflationary model and its censorship resistance and everything else that it has, this is why people are valuing Bitcoin so high these days. And this is also why I published my Learn Crypto book. It is a complete beginner's guide. If you're new to cryptocurrencies, if you're going to be investing in cryptocurrencies, you have to understand at least a little bit about them, because you can't invest in something that you don't understand. So grab yourself a copy. The link is in the description box. You can go to learncryptonow.com or ojjordan.com. You will find my book offer in there, and just educate yourself. I'm talking about the different coins, the difference between coins and tokens, the different types of coins and tokens, utilities, security tokens, privacy coins, and everything else. DeFi I'm covering as well. Pretty much everything that you need to know in the crypto space is in the book. And also I'm talking about my mistakes, so that hopefully you can avoid making the same mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. Those of you are bound to make mistakes as well. Make sure that when you're investing, you are doing it carefully and you're taking informed decisions, and also that you protect yourself. You put some stop losses if you're trading or something, because you don't really want to lose 80% of your capital. And many cryptocurrencies during the last bear market dropped by more than 80%. In fact, some of them dropped by 90%, and even today Ripple XRP is still at 90% down from its all-time high. So things like that happen in crypto. You need to be aware of them. I talk about this in my book. Go get a copy. That's the short message. Now let's move on to the next price target, and this is coming from the CEO of Celsius Network, which is one of the DeFi giants. It is a lending and borrowing company within the decentralized finance space. Alex Mashinsky is the CEO. He's calling Bitcoin for 500,000. The Winklevoss twins are also of the opinion that Bitcoin should be priced at 500,000 at some point in the future. They don't actually specify when. You probably know them as the Facebook twins. Everyone's seen the Facebook film, and we know that these were the guys who actually co-founded Facebook, and they've been Bitcoin investors since the early days. They also founded the Gemini exchange. They predicted the price could go to 500,000 one day on the theory that it eventually replaces gold, which is now worth more than $10 trillion market cap. Now, this might come as a surprise. This is one of the biggest price projections, and it comes actually from a central bank, JP Morgan of all places. A report by JP Morgan estimated the eventual worth of each Bitcoin could be, $650,000. Yes, you heard it right. The investment bank sees a pattern of increased investments from financial institutions following the likes of MassMutual and MicroStrategy, which we mentioned at the beginning of this video, in getting exposure to Bitcoin. And now we are reaching the number one spot in craziest and boldest and biggest price projections for Bitcoin. Did you guess what it could be? I'm sure you did. Well, let's go into it. Now, this is coming from the Social Capital CEO and ex-Facebook executive Chamath Palihapitiya. He's calling Bitcoin for $1 million, guys. Well, he sees Bitcoin as a binary investment, and his view is that these price swings in the thousands of dollars don't even matter in the grand scheme of things. He sees the cryptocurrency as the basis of a quasi-gold standard where the hard money is held by everyone rather than the central banks. Palihapitiya thinks that the probability of this scenario playing out in the real world has recently increased. He said in an interview with Forbes magazine, the billionaire venture capitalist is also rumored to have purchased 1 million Bitcoin in 2010 at the price of $80 per coin. Now, he's not the only one who is actually calling Bitcoin to be going to $1 million. There's a lot of other reports about all kinds of people talking about Bitcoin at 1 million. I'm going to mention one more here. This is a former hedge fund manager, Rao Pao. He previously co-managed the GOG Global Macro Fund in London after departing Goldman Sachs, where he co-managed the hedge fund sales business in equities and equity derivatives in Europe. He then co-founded Global Macro Investor and Real Vision Group. He said recently that he sees Bitcoin to 1 million within 5 years. And it's going to be not because the world is collapsing, he says, but it's because there's going to be adoption by real large pools of capital. So as you see, this really goes as the number one of the craziest and boldest price predictions for Bitcoin in my list, in my chart list. Now let's look at what is on the other side, because not everyone is so bullish or so enthusiastic about Bitcoin. In fact, some people are still of the opinion that it is worth nothing and it is going to zero, such as the Seeking Alpha financial columnist Anton Wallman. He believes that Bitcoin is worthless. He says sometimes there's something so absurd that you can hardly know where to begin to make the argument. He says it is so obvious and self-evident that it should not have to be explained. Bitcoin and similar cryptocurrencies are such a case, he wrote in his column. Also, Oliver Kam, a financial contributor to the Times UK, told his readers that cryptocurrencies are a fad. Best avoided. Cryptocurrencies don't belong in your portfolio, he says. He wrote that when Bitcoin was trading at around 12,500 per unit, the reason is you can't value them. An asset that doesn't pay even a notional stream of cash flows like bonds, which pay interest, or shares, which pay dividends, or property, which provides rental income. It's just a gamble. Be prepared to lose your entire stake, Kam added. Also, Nouriel Roubini, he is a very influential economist. He said that this Bitcoin rally is driven by manipulation and will go bust anytime soon. It doesn't have any fundamental value, he says, of Bitcoin. We're close to the point where this hyperbolic bubble is going to go bust. He also tweeted that he has no doubt that the incoming Biden administration will create a bearish environment for crypto assets, and that the pressure of future regulation will threaten the adoption and growth of Bitcoin. So there you have it. These were the boldest, the biggest, the craziest, and some not so bold predictions for Bitcoin for 2021 and beyond. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give me a like and also leave a comment. So I want to hear what is your prediction for Bitcoin at the end of 2021. I will revisit this video in December 2021. Yeah, I know it sounds like a very long time from now, but this will come. I've been doing these videos for years now, and I know how much fun it is to actually go back into a video and look at projections. Now let's go into I know my personal projection doesn't mean anything when we have all of these influential people here, quoting such high prices, but I feel that we are due to have a bit of a consolidation now before we go to the next leg up. I see Bitcoin at 50,000 this year easily, maybe even 60,000, and this is my price projection. I believe that we are not going to go 3 or 4 times from the current price, but I feel that it would make sense if we go to at least 50-60,000 per Bitcoin. This has been my projection for a few years now. I've been waiting for this bull run because I was convinced that during this bull run we will go to at least 80 or 90k, but this year 2021 I'm not so sure whether we will be reaching the 90 or 100k. I feel that at most by 80k we will get stopped and we will be correcting. So I'm calling it, I'm doing a very conservative projection here. I'm calling it between 50 and 60,000. Let's see how it plays out. This is my personal. What is yours? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you haven't done that yet, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you're notified when I'm posting a new video. I'm currently having a giveaway. I announced it in my previous video. You will see it popping up right now here, so go and check it out. Leave a comment below that video, not here, if you want to enter for the contest and get 300 CBOT tokens. If you don't know what that is, watch the video, you'll find out. Anyway, this is everything from me for today. Thanks for staying until the end. I'm signing off and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Happy 2021.